So, I know very little about this project, but I saw it and it intrigued me. I thought it was really cool. So I thought I'd just ask you instead of doing my own research, I guess. But what is Hip Hop Beyond Borders?
Oh, wow, that's a throwback right there.
Yeah.
So Hip Hop Beyond Borders was a hip hop show we did at the Salinas Public Library, Cesar Chavez Library.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a free CD compilation that we put together just to kind of give away for the day of the show. But pretty much at the end of the day, what it was is bringing hip hop to the community. And it was a bilingual, free, all ages event. And so we called it Hip Hop Beyond Borders because, so you're kind of quizzing me a little bit, which is beautiful. I love it. We brought an artist from, actually, I'm going to give full credit where credit is due. JF, who was rocking with his pareja and his good friend back then by the name of, what were they called? I'm trying to recall their name back then. JF was his most recent project. I know that recently he kind of did he's reinventing himself again, and he's tapping into what he has to offer. But at the end of the day, he was rocking his thing. And I'm trying to recall what their name was. It was like Mentes, not Diferentes, but I'm going to bring it back. And they're the ones who reached out. They said, hey, we have this artist that we want to bring up from Oaxaca, Mexico. And, her name is Mare Advertencia Lírica. We want to give her a spot. And so I was volunteering / working at the library in those days. And we were able to get them the contact forms or the pretty much, the paperwork to be able to use the facility. And I'm like, I'm not the gatekeeper here. Let me show you what the forms are. And if I'm not here tomorrow, come back and you can always use this space. The public library system is meant for building community just like that. So Hip Hop Beyond Borders, a throwback once again to Cesar Chavez Library, free hip hop show we did with international artists, but organized locally, specifically throwing out, big shout out to JF on that one.
Nice.
The Mentes, there you go. It's right there in the chat.
Yeah. That's. I switched the camera. I was like, I'm gonna see if I could.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my beautiful wife, bringing it back. Yes.
No, so that's awesome, dude. I wanted to talk about your tech, but I also didn't want to get away from music too quickly. Just because I'm really interested in what you told me earlier about your setup being able to actually be live and integrated. So before we even do that, maybe why don't you tell me about your tech and how you have everything set up?
My tech right now,
or your gear, I should say.
Yeah. Like the whole setup. So I've been really exploring with how I can make this setup a little bit more portable. So I've been kind of working with different laptops and whatnot. So one of the ones that I was using was the new M1 chip on the MacBook. So that one right there made it really, really easy to pretty much use one system. And I did have a problem with it. The camera stopped working on it. So I took it back. And when I got the replacement for it, it happened to be Valentine's Day. So I felt really, really, loving in a generous mood. And I happened to give that MacBook Pro to my beautiful wife. Nice. So she's rocking a new M1 right now, which is
what a dude.
So I kind of gave up the perfect setup, but I feel like one of those things, if you love it, it'll come back to you and eventually it'll be meant to be. So right now what I'm rocking with is a little Mac Mini, and I was just kind of venting to you that I didn't realize, I didn't take them serious when they said when you buy a setup, you can't upgrade them. So I'm rocking like an 8 gig thing. I mean, it's a little setup, it's not the most beefy, but it's getting the job done. And nice. What I'm rocking, I've been using the same music program now for like 10 plus years. It's called Ableton. So Ableton is pretty much routing my microphone right now, and I have some beats kind of queued up. And that's how I'm able to kind of hear you as well. I have kind of everything connected through Ableton, running the main audio.
I am an audio noob. What exactly is Ableton? Is it like a beat producing thing? Is it just an audio mixing application, or what kind of functions does that do?
Yeah, kind of the mindset that it's kind of like a tool that you can use to whatever you want to do it for. So for me, technically I'll start with like the definition right out of the dictionary would be it's a digital audio workstation, a DAW. And so it does everything you asked. Yes, it makes beats. Yes, you can sequence, you can mix, you can do all that stuff. I was using it for the radio show, pretty much running full 3-hour broadcasts off of it. I use it for making beats. I use it for recording. I use it for live everything pretty much.
Okay.
So
I don't want to make a bad comparison here, but kind of like Fruity Loops or...
Yeah, very much so. So I
Okay.
started off with Fruity Loops a while back, and one of the things, I don't know if it was the limitation, my understanding of the software, but I wasn't able to record into it. So I'd
Mm,
have to use the beat in Fruity Loops, and then I'd export the beat and use a different program. I think back then
right.
I was using Cool Edit, so
Oh,
Cool Edit was my
throwback, huh?
go-to.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
been a
there you
while since
go,
I heard of
right?
Cool Edit.
Yeah. There you go. And that's actually where the roots are, right? So it's like just starting with the blank canvas, you throw audio into it, and it's up to you whatever you want to do. So the way I see Ableton is kind of like Photoshop for audio. You can layer
Okay.
it, you can compress it, and you can throw quote unquote filters, if you will,
That might be
right?
one of my
And then
next projects.
yeah, and over time it's just become like a go-to for me. Like it's just I know it like the back of my hand. So it's awesome software.
Nice. I know that you're very multi-layered. Like you're a lot like me in that like we're always in 5 different projects. We're always in 5 different types of technology. Like I'm writing on one day, and then I'm like being a tech on the other day, and then now I'm in a studio. So I mean, like you do a lot of different things as well. What kind of projects do you have going on right now, and what do you have planned?
That's a great question, bro. Mainly right now, priority number one, project number one is being a good husband and being a good dad to my kids.
That's great to
Really
hear.
trying to prioritize family, especially during this pandemic where, I didn't have the quote unquote luxury, the excuse, whatever word we want to put in there, right? To like leave the house and get that alone time, if you will, right? So being home with them all the time like that really made it a beautiful year for me personally, of really like bonding with them, from just being part of their bedtime stories to being part of overall kind of seeing them grow. And my kids are so little that it's like I blink twice and they grow 3 inches type of thing, right? My littlest one, she's 2. I got a 4 and a 6-year-old. And so that means that my
A
oldest one is in
6-year-old.
kinder.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would have
So
never
it's
thought. I know you've had kids for a while, but I always just kind of imagine you holding like a baby. I guess like
an infant.
time really does
Yeah.
go fast, dude. I
Yeah,
was
no, and she's a big 6-year-old, man. So it's like I said, I blink twice and she just grows so much. So
yeah.
the fact that I was able to stay home during this pandemic and be with them and be around the family a lot more, that's my main thing. Obviously I had the radio show last year. The pandemic made it really interesting with continuing to put myself in spaces where potentially I could be what's the word I'm looking for, asymptomatic carrier, right?
Hmm.
Like I don't know if I'm going to the grocery store and like passing it on somebody else at the
Right.
gas station, and unknowingly. So just like when I'd be at the radio station, I'd always have that in the back of my mind. It's like, man, like especially having a co-host in there with me, it
Yeah.
always felt like, man. So I'd always mask up. I'd always try to follow the guidelines, 6 feet apart, right? Wash your hands, like do everything you can. But at the end of the day, it always kind of was a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
So
Because it's
with
not
that in
just you
mind,
anymore. Yeah.
exactly, having my children, having my work, kind of having my family. I mean, I haven't, with confidence, like hugged my parents. It's like I've kind of felt like getting close to them, and it's like, no, like let
Yeah.
me wait. And now finally, my dad got his vaccinations. My mom's getting set up to get hers. So
Nice.
it looks like
Congrats.
everybody's kind of, getting toward the end of this whole scare. But it's that whole what if, right? And I
Yeah.
know some people don't believe it. Some people even made fun of each other for wearing masks or whatever. And it's like, at the end of the day, if you can prevent spreading it, if you can do your part, like that's all we were really asking for. Those of us that took it serious.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I wanted to give you
yeah,
props as well. Not well, a little bit early in the conversation. I want to give you props for how you've handled social media. I know that you kind of took a little break for a little while, but then I saw some posts that kind of it was an interesting perspective when you posted about your daughters and you posted why you were posting in Spanish and saying that
right.
you look forward to a day when your daughters look back and can read those tweets with you or your social media posts with you and see what kind of stuff you were doing,
Dang,
and
yeah.
that really impacted me. Like I was like, damn, like we really need to be mindful about what we put out there because that's our legacy, and like you're leaving that for your children. And like I don't have kids, so I mean it's a different thought process, but even with me without kids, it made me really consider and reconsider the way and type of content that I put up.
The digital footprint we're leaving, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a deep conversation there. Honestly, it's something I've thought about for a long time. I think it goes back to like in school they'd say, if you're going to apply for a job, make sure that your social media presence is professional, right? Because
Right.
people will Google your name and stuff like that. So I think it kind of started with that concept, but over time, like, yeah, now I've been working for 15 years. So like, that's not really the main motive. Now it's, okay, who's going to be my audience in 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah, exactly.
And And honestly, I mean, that's something that I've always been conscientious about. You know, it's like I want to keep my kids in mind, so that way when they Google me or they, you know, pull up my page, my music, you know, it's definitely something that I can feel proud of, right? And of course, I'm not perfect. There's a lot of times where I'm gonna be really honest. And again, the behind the scenes honesty is that sometimes I'm having a really bad day, like horrible day. Like I'm actually feeling, you know, like I'm beating myself up, or, you know, if somebody beat me up, you know, and so I'm just feeling down on myself. And in those moments are when I actually reach in and I'll pull something positive and I'll post something positive.
Yeah,
I'll
and
just, you know,
like,
give thanks for something.
I'm exactly the same way. Like if I'm feeling bad, I'm just like, well, I'm gonna go find someone who I don't agree with and argue for a while. You know, it's just that kind of thing. Like it's not really productive, but it is one of those things that's really connected to emotion and mood. And I think how you said before, like being mindful of your work and being like, oh, well, like obviously I don't want my job to see this, or potential employers. I had always seen it in that light, and instead of looking at it like I should be careful what I post, it really was like I should try and post in a way that won't get me in trouble, instead of actually trying to post good things. And then when you said about like your daughter's looking up your content later on in life, it made me reconsider, not just like, okay, it's not about trying to get through and not get in trouble. It's about posting positive, impactful content. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I mean, right? So sometimes those posts, like, they're coming from a place where I'm kind of speaking to myself. Like if I was going to give myself advice, or when I come back and I stalk myself a week later, like when I just post this last week.
Right.
So that way I'm not thinking of myself as being foolish. It's like, nah, cool. You know, like I actually dug deep and I put something positive out there. So not only does it resonate with my audience, my community, but hopefully it also kind of impacts me and it keeps motivating me, you know, to keep moving forward.
Yeah,
and of course, the natural sequence there would be my kids, right? Moving forward as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Creating a world for them and an example for them.
And I think it goes back to what you were just kind of talking about. Really, it's like, I think I called it a digital footprint, but it's like at the end of the day, man, like everything that we're doing, all of our, you know, interactions, I don't feel like they really get deleted, man. I feel like everything's going to be there and archivable, searchable, right? So trying to be mindful of that kind of stuff. And even if technology wasn't there, it's still kind of being mindful of like, yo, somebody's having a bad day, like try not to make it worse for them.
Yeah.
And if they're coming at you sideways, then, you know, don't put them down. Maybe just look them in the eye, and, you know, if you are able to speak, then cool. But if not, sometimes just avoid the vibes, man. Like that's all you can do. You know, it's like, why invest so much time or try to force things? So it's part of the reason of trying to just, you know, sometimes it is a lonely road, you know, but at the same time, I'd rather be lonely and try to kind of keep that energy focused than spreading myself way too thin. And then at the end of the day, you know, feeling like, you know, kind of you're upsetting people or whatever. So.
I had to learn that the hard way. Like, you know, obviously it's easy to get triggered reading through like news posts or random people's comments.
Man,
but
I feel like we're set up, bro. Honestly, I feel like it's a setup, you know.
It really
like,
is.
How long... It's like a timer. Like how long can you know, scroll through your timeline without feeling some kind of way?
Yeah, and
you know?
it got to the point where like I can't really avoid the news ones, but I ended up really trimming down my friends list, like on whose content I see on a daily basis. And that made a huge difference. Like there was just a lot of people that I don't know why I wanted to get updates from. You know, they just always existed in my social media. They've always been a friend or whatever you would call it on social media. So it just always was in my feed. And I think just separating yourself and giving yourself that space gives a lot of clarity, and it gives you time to do other stuff. Like if you're not arguing online, you can go make some content or something, you know?
Seriously, man, I think that takes away so much focus sometimes, right? Like engaging in, you know, just acts that really are draining. So, but at the same time, maybe some people like that. Like that's what people need to connect. And going back to this whole pandemic thing, I mean, it's like when we don't have any interactions at all, some interactions better than none, right? So
I think it's one of those things like we all love to debate, but no one loves to argue, you know? Like debate is really fun. Match, right? Yeah, debate is exciting. It's like, oh, like let's try and convince the other person of our opinion or whatever, and just, or maybe we'll learn a new opinion. But it's not that anymore. It's really just side versus side. You know, there is no right and wrong. Facts don't matter anymore. It's just arguing now.
It's just emotional, right?
Yeah, it's very
coming
emotional.
from a place of anger.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, it shifts the other way in the near future. I don't know. Maybe it's the lack of in-person interaction. If everything's just read through
Big
a
part of that,
text
yeah.
message, you don't get the tone, you don't get the humor, you don't get the sarcasm. There's just so many layers that get lost with this pandemic, right? When you get the nonverbal cues, when you, like even right now, I know that it's not perfect, but the fact that we have the cameras on, at least you can kind of see some nonverbal communication, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of cues that we get that I think could kind of help minimize a lot of that kind of tension. But when you don't have that, then you're left to assume, and you know what to say about assumptions, right?
And then sometimes it's even as simple as like they're already mad they have to be at home, so now they're mad at home online. It's not even beyond that.
There's no outlet.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, I mean, to that's where I kind of feel like, I need to give myself that advice of continuing to be creative and finding outlets. Finding a release, do some push-ups, go for a walk, make some beats.
It's so hard to motivate yourself to do that, but when you're doing it, it's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, earlier, man, like I clocked out from work and I had to do some yard work, man. I had to go pull some weeds, right? It's like somebody's got to do it. And so,
right.
and what I mean by that is like even that, right? Like just kind of getting out there, breaking the routine of just being stuck in the same cycle over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
That, I think that kind of contributes to that same kind of regressive thinking where we get stuck in a loop, because we don't do something physically different. So the moment that we break that cycle, then it kind of opens up the opportunity for a new thought process, for maybe a neighbor to pass by and say hi. Just waving at them could make it, change in their day.
Yeah.
Right. So there's just so many layers that kind of come with it.
Exactly. And even just the serotonin of going outside, getting a little vitamin D from the sun and just pepping yourself up, or even just like taking a shower or something and feeling the cold water or something, just like it changes something in the mind. And if you weren't feeling creative any before, or if you had like a writer's block or something, it can kick you right out of it too.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, I can vouch for that, man. So on that note, is it all right if I play a beat or something? I just kind of been aching to press the button here.
Absolutely.
This right here, it's just a loop that I kind of stumbled across. The name of the song is called Mi Viejo San Juan. So you'll kind of get an idea for more or less my vibe here.
Let me stop the music real quick 1 second.
Oh, you still got music on your side? Cool.
Yeah.
Let me know if the music's too loud or too low for that matter.
We're good.
Yeah, just a cool little loop here, some guitarras, some trumpets. And then I threw a drum loop, to kind of match it. Similar tempo, just keep the vibe super chill.
Nice.
And yeah, the reason I wanted to start it off with just something super chill like this is just to show, like, man, to me, hip hop, it's like, it's everything, man. Like, it encompasses and it engulfs everything. Like you can pull in my case, this is something that my parents probably listened to when they were younger.
Right.
It's from their era. And I'm able to just take a little snippet of that and throw a different loop, a different drum beat on it, and all of a sudden it becomes a little more boom bappy. But it doesn't have to be just that, it's like the jazz, the oldies, the funk, right? It's just so much different layers to it. So with that in mind, these are some of the loops that I've been kind of messing with in recent,
sneak peeks,
I don't know, days. Yeah. So this right here is just, I'm going to just kind of go down the line here with different ideas I've been playing with. Some of it's more polished than others, but just kind of sets that mood, sets that vibe. By the way, how are we doing on time right now?
Oh, we're good. Take as long as you need. I'm hanging out.
All right, cool, man. Well, check it out for a second, yo. I see you started fireworks. Yes, y'all, right about now, the higher learning, top performing. Right now, we cultivating the conversation, freestyles with that 360 view, looking at your screen. That's that virtual studio, knowing what I mean. Keep it rocking, so fresh, so clean. Get that 360 point of view. What we doing right now, this is sort of new, but really this is old school. What we doing, yo, thinking that I told you some time ago, but now we gotta drop it in a brand new environment. Hunting like a lioness, but not really. Just rewind it, cause we trying this. Maybe later on you see it on the replay. For now it's instant, without that instant delay, I guess. I don't know, I don't play, I guess. I'm here to switch it up a little bit and still sweat and get my hat wet right about now, cause I'm packing much love and much action. What's going on? Bring it back to practice. Yes, on this live Twitch energy. This is how we rocking like a centipede. So many feet on the floor marching. What we doing right now is kinda dark outside, cause the sun just set. We about to keep rocking this. Won't stop, man, won't stop.
Bro, freaking sick, dude. Amazing.
So freestyles.
Yes.
Jumping into my element here for a quick second. Yeah, and like I said, it's going to be a lot of different ideas. This right here is just, I think this is all it is. It's just a little bit of a vibe. So I'm going to get into some high energy. Here it goes. Nope, not that one. This one right here. There we go.
I feel so privileged.
Yeah, get them up like we bout to keep it rocking right about now. About to get the thoughts in the different concepts. Gotta keep it conscious. What we doing right now, yo, I'm about to launch it. Maybe I'm gonna close my window, exposing my flows to my backwards. Yes, that's my neighbor. I'm trying to get my password on my Wi-Fi for the ones that wanna try my different vibes. We hit it just rhyme. Keep it moving right now from the top of the mind. We saying off top, but it's really off the cuff. What I'm saying, yo, I'm saying pardon me, bruh. Not trying to do any type of profane expressions. What I'm saying with my statements, we here to just lace this with that message. And right about now, I'm learning kinda like apprentices, taking notes, looking at the way that you gonna spin with the fireworks again. Gotta higher learn, that's right. Keep it rocking with these different lessons, the different message. Gotta keep it locked in on this Twitch stream. Much congratulates to you, cause you know what I mean. You got affiliate status today. Keep it rocking, that's right. Take a second, but we don't play. Just rocking with these beats that we gotta break down. Once again, we gotta make sounds. Freestyles won't stop, keep it rocking. From Salinas, California down to Compton, or maybe out to Wisconsin. Whatever it is, we here to handle it, we know what it means, yo. Yeah, just a drum loop. Keep it moving like, yo, I got a dumb move. Check it out. Yeah. All right, that's it for now. But I got some more, man. I got some more.
I'm glad you stopped because I wanted to compliment you, but I also didn't want to interrupt like at all.
Oh, no, you're good, man. Chime in. And actually, what we can do is maybe go off of the chat. If there's anybody that's watching this live and wants to throw like a little word bank, maybe I can incorporate some of the ideas they got.
So one, I'm stealing that entire verse for my intro, by the way, just so you know. That's amazing.
I will work on an actual written for you, man. We'll make it bang.
Bro, that's so sick.